You are standing in the Whole Foods checkout line on a sunny Saturday afternoon, one hand on the grocery cart, listening to the scanner beep its little command again and again. Beep. Wait. Beep. Move. And your mind turns a simple public space into a personal trial. The person ahead of you is not moving fast enough. The cashier is not scanning fast enough. The line is not honoring your schedule. So the body leans forward. The cart inches closer. Your presence starts to press against another person's back, as if proximity could purchase time. But nothing has happened yet except an event. A line is moving at its pace. A cart is in your hands. A sound is striking your attention. The rest is judgment. The false belief is that impatience gives you authority, that breathing down someone's neck can force the world to obey your preference. Epictetus would not begin with the line. He would begin with the ascent. Do not let the beep govern you. Do not let the cart become an argument. Pause. Name the impression. Keep the distance that belongs to decent conduct. The boundary of control begins where your hand meets the grocery cart. That is the first honest line. Not the checkout line. Not the 6 feet between your shoes and the person ahead of you. Not the scanner's beep. Not the speed of the cashier. Not the number of people who decided, on the same sunny Saturday afternoon, to buy groceries at the same time you did. The first boundary is closer than that. It is the small space between the impression and your agreement with it. The event is plain, you are waiting in line at Whole Foods. The cart is in your hands. The person ahead of you is taking their turn. The scanner beeps. A bag is opened. A card is tapped. A receipt is printed. The line moves in the ordinary uneven rhythm of public life. That is the event. The mind adds, this is too slow. This is wasting my afternoon. These people are in my way. I need to make the line move. I need to show my impatience so the world understands that my time matters. That is not the event. That is judgment. And once judgment is mistaken for fact, conduct begins to decay. The cart rolls forward by an inch. Then another. Your shoulders tighten. Your eyes start measuring the back of another person's neck as if pressure were a form of argument. You may not say anything. You may not break any rule. But your body has already begun to announce a false belief, that another person's pace is yours to govern. It is not. Their pace is not yours. The cashier's speed is not yours. The store's crowd is not yours. The afternoon is not yours to command. The scanner's beep is not an order issued to your ruling faculty. It is only a sound. What is yours? Your judgment is yours. Your assent is yours. Your intention is yours. Your attention is yours. Your next response is yours. This is the line Epictetus would draw. Not with softness. Not with excuse making. With precision. You may prefer the line to move faster. Preference is not the problem. You may have errands left, a bill to pay, a family obligation, a dinner to get ready, a work message waiting on your phone. None of that is imaginary. Adult life is not empty. Time matters. Duties matter. But preference does not create authority over what is outside your command. A disciplined person does not pretend the delay is pleasant. He does not lie to himself and call inconvenience a gift. He simply refuses to hand his character over to a checkout line. The cart is the test. When it inches forward to pressure someone else, the cart is no longer just metal, wheels, and groceries. It has become the visible shape of an unexamined judgment. It says, my impatience is more important than your space. My schedule gives me permission to crowd you. My discomfort has authority over my manners. That is the value error. Speed has been inflated above conduct. Convenience has been placed above respect. The external has been seated where the ruling faculty should sit. This is why public conduct matters. Not because a grocery line is grand. Not because strangers are watching and you need to appear virtuous. That would only replace one external with another. Reputation is not the point. Approval from the person behind you is not the point. Looking calm is not the point. The point is whether you can remain responsible for what belongs to you when nothing dramatic is happening. Many people imagine philosophy belongs in crisis, in loss, danger, failure, public disgrace, a courtroom, a hospital hallway, a final phone call. It does belong there. But it is trained here, beside the gum rack, under bright store lights, while the scanner keeps beeping and your cart wants to become your complaint. If you cannot govern assent in a checkout line, do not expect it to appear fully formed under heavier pressure. The boundary is not a theory. It is a practice repeated in small public moments. Not yours, how quickly the woman ahead finds her cart. Yours, whether you turn her ordinary delay into an insult. Not yours, whether the cashier needs a price check. Yours, whether you let one small interruption rewrite your standard of conduct. Not yours, whether the person behind you thinks you are too slow, too stiff, too patient, too passive. Yours, whether your movement is governed by judgment or by irritation. This does not mean you become passive. If there is a real issue, you can speak. If someone asks you to move, you can respond. If space needs to be adjusted, you can adjust it. Stoic discipline is not numb silence. It is clean action. It is action without false ownership. So you stand with the cart where it belongs. You keep the respectful distance. You hear the beep and do not obey it as a master. You recognize the impression, this feels urgent. Then you test it, is urgency the same as authority? No. Is waiting the same as being harmed? No. Is another person's pace a threat to my worth? No. Then the body can follow the truth. The hands loosen. The wheels stop. The eyes return to the cart, the groceries, the space in front of you. The world may still move slowly. But now it is only moving slowly. It is no longer ruling you. Now look more closely at the moment before the cart moves. That is where the real action begins. The person ahead of you reaches into a wallet. The cashier pauses to check a price. The scanner gives another beep, then silence, then another beep. The afternoon light sits bright on the store windows. Your groceries are in the cart. Your hand is on the handle. Nothing violent has happened. Nothing final has happened. No one has taken your character from you. But an impression arrives. It does not ask permission. It appears. This is taking too long. That is the first appearance. Epictetus would say the impression comes before the moral failure. It is not yet your master. It is not yet your act. It is only a presentation to the mind. Delay, noise, bodies, a narrow lane, another person between you and the exit. The mistake begins when the mind treats that first appearance as the whole truth. The impression says, this is urgent. Judgment says, this delay is an offense. The impression says, the line is slow. Judgment says, these people are in my way. The impression says, I want to move. Judgment says, I am entitled to press forward. That is the turn. That is where the grocery line stops being a grocery line and becomes a courtroom where your impatience pretends to be law. Assent is the quiet yes you give to that judgment. You may never speak it out loud. You may never say, my time is worth more than yours. You may never admit, even to yourself, that you are using your body to rush another person. But the assent shows itself anyway. It shows in the cart rolling too close. It shows in the exhale meant to be heard. It shows in the stare fixed over someone's shoulder. It shows in the little step forward when there is no room to step. It shows when the beep of the scanner becomes more than a sound. It becomes a command. Move. Hurry. Make them feel it. This is why Stoic discipline pays attention before the visible action. By the time the cart touches the edge of another person's space, the mind has already agreed to something false. It has agreed that discomfort permits disrespect. It has agreed that speed outranks decency. It has agreed that your preference has authority over another person's ordinary right to stand in line without being crowded. The event did not force that agreement. The beep did not force it. The cashier did not force it. The person ahead of you did not force it. The agreement happened inside the ruling faculty, where your freedom either stands guard or falls asleep. This is not a call to become stiff or artificial. You are allowed to notice delay. You are allowed to prefer efficiency. You are allowed to have a schedule. The discipline is not in pretending the line is moving quickly. The discipline is in refusing to add a false moral meaning to the fact that it is not. There is a clean sequence here. Event, you are waiting at checkout. Impression, this feels urgent, personal, and obstructive. Judgment, because it feels urgent, I have the right to pressure the person ahead. Assent, yes, that judgment is true enough to guide my body. Action, the cart moves forward, the distance collapses, and your conduct becomes smaller than your complaint. To correct the action, you must interrupt the assent. Not later, when you are already embarrassed. Not after someone turns around. Not after your irritation has become a scene. Here, while your hand is still on the grocery cart. You stop and name the impression plainly. This is the appearance of delay. This is the appearance of being blocked. This is the appearance that my time is being taken from me. Then you test the judgment. Is waiting the same as being wronged? No. Is another customer's pace an insult? No. Does the scanner's beep possess moral authority? No. Does my impatience give me command over another person's space? No. That simple examination returns power to its proper place. Not power over the line. Power over assent. Power over the next movement. Power over whether your body becomes an instrument of pressure or an expression of order. The cart can remain still. That is not weakness. That is governed conduct. You keep the respectful distance because the distance is not empty space. It is the visible proof that your judgment has been examined. It says that you can feel impatience without enthroning it. It says that an ordinary public delay does not have permission to recruit your hands, your wheels, your breath, and your posture into its service. The line may still move slowly. The cashier may still need time. The person ahead may still fumble with the card reader. None of that has changed. But something important has changed. The event is back outside. The judgment is back under inspection. The assent is no longer automatic. And the next action is yours again. Ascesis does not begin when life becomes severe. It begins here, in a checkout line, with a grocery cart in your hands and the small temptation to make your impatience visible. The training is not dramatic. No one applauds it. No one may even notice it. That is why it is useful. A public line tests whether your standard depends on an audience. It asks whether you can practice order when the only pressure is ordinary delay, ordinary noise, ordinary Saturday friction. The scanner beeps again. Your old habit wants to answer with movement. So the first act is simple: stop the wheels. Do not make a speech. Do not perform calmness. Do not turn patience into a little show of superiority. Just stop the cart where it belongs. Let the metal frame remain behind the respectful boundary. Let the space in front of you remain space, not a weapon. Second, place your feet. Feel how the body wants to lean forward before the mind has finished examining anything. That lean matters. It is not neutral. It is the body trying to cast a vote before reason has spoken. Bring your weight back over your own shoes. Stand like someone who has not surrendered conduct to a delay. Third, name the impression. Not with drama. With accuracy. This feels slow. This feels personal. This feels like something is being taken from me. Now the impression has been brought into the light. It is no longer hiding inside the shoulders, the jaw, the grip on the cart. Once named, it can be examined. Before it is named, it usually commands. Fourth, separate the event from the meaning. The event, a person ahead of you is finishing checkout. The meaning your mind adds, this person is blocking me. The event, the scanner beeps and pauses. The meaning your mind adds, the store is wasting my time. The event, your cart is not moving. The meaning your mind adds, I am losing control. Epictetus would press hard on this point. You are not disturbed by the cart standing still. You are disturbed by the judgment that stillness is an injury, an insult, or a threat to your authority. Fifth, return attention to the grocery cart. Look at what is actually in your hands. A handle. A basket. Groceries. Wheels. An ordinary object in an ordinary store. The cart is not an argument. It is not a message. It is not a tool for announcing irritation. It becomes those things only when your judgment assigns it that work. Let the cart become a test instead. Can this object remain under command? Can these wheels stay where reason places them? Can your hand hold the handle without using it to pressure another person? This is ascesis, repeated training in the exact place where the mind tries to excuse itself. Sixth, lower the false value. Speed is useful. It is not sovereign. Efficiency is pleasant. It is not virtue. Getting through the line matters in a small way. Keeping your ruling faculty clean matters in the deeper way. Do not make speed the judge of your conduct. If speed sits on the throne, respect will be treated as an obstacle. If convenience becomes king, other people will begin to look like furniture in your path. That is how public conduct decays, not usually through one great crime, but through small permissions given to impatience. Seventh, choose the next governable action. You cannot choose the cashier's pace. You cannot choose whether the card reader cooperates. You cannot choose whether the person ahead remembers the coupon, checks the receipt, or asks one more question. You can choose the next inch. You can choose not to take it. You can choose your silence without making it cold. You can choose your posture without making it theatrical. You can choose your attention without pretending the delay has disappeared. You can choose to wait like a citizen instead of crowding like a complaint with wheels. Eighth, repeat when the beep returns. Because it will return. The first pause may not be enough. The mind may accept the correction for 5 seconds, then begin again. Beep. Irritation. Beep. Judgment. Beep. The desire to move the cart forward. That repetition is not failure. It is the training ground showing you the exact place where your ascent has been poorly trained. So repeat the discipline. Stop the wheels. Place your feet. Name the impression. Separate the event. Return to the cart. Lower the false value. Choose the next governable action. Do it again without resentment. This is how a 6-foot bubble becomes more than store etiquette. It becomes a visible boundary between event and ascent. The person ahead of you may never know that a struggle occurred. The cashier may never look up. The line may move only a few feet. But you will know whether the cart obeyed judgment or irritation. And that knowledge is not small. That knowledge becomes responsibility. Not responsibility for the line. Not responsibility for the cashier's speed. Not responsibility for the person ahead of you, or the person behind you, or the whole restless machinery of a sunny Saturday afternoon in a crowded store. Responsibility for conduct. That is narrower. That is heavier. Because once you see the cart as a test of judgment, you cannot honestly call your next movement accidental. You cannot say the wheels just drifted. You cannot say the beat made you do it. You cannot say the crowd forced your posture into another person's space. You have seen the sequence now: event, impression, judgment, ascent, action. So the question becomes direct. What kind of person are you choosing to be while nothing around you obeys your preference? This is where Stoic duty lies. Not in grand declarations. Not in sounding wise. Not in being known as patient. Duty appears in the ordinary demand to act rightly when the external remains inconvenient. The line is still slow. The scanner still beeps. The person ahead may still move with no awareness of your schedule. Your groceries are still sitting in the cart, and the handle is still under your hand. Nothing outside has been repaired. That is exactly why conduct matters. If your good conduct depends on the line moving quickly, it is not yet your conduct. It is only a reward paid by favorable conditions. If you are respectful only when no one delays you, then respect is not a standard. It is a mood. If you give people space only when you feel efficient, then your manners are being governed by speed. Epictetus does not ask whether the checkout line is arranged according to your wishes. He asks whether your ruling faculty is arranged according to reason. This is the responsibility return. You return from the crowd to your own judgment. You return from the beat to your own ascent. You return from the urge to crowd forward to the next right act that actually belongs to you. And the next right act may look very small. Keep the cart still. Let the distance remain. Do not punish another person with your breath, your wheels, your stare, or your impatience. When the line moves, move. When it stops, stop. If you must speak, speak plainly and without accusation. If you must ask a question, ask it like someone who has not mistaken inconvenience for injury. If someone behind you crowds your space, you still do not need to pass the disorder forward like a death. That last point matters. Public impatience spreads by imitation. One person leans in. Another tightens up. Someone exhales loudly. Someone mutters. Soon the whole line is not merely waiting, it is rehearsing the same false judgment together. That delay gives everyone permission to become smaller. Your duty is not to correct the whole line. Your duty is not to teach strangers a lesson. Your duty is not to become a silent judge of everyone else's manners. Your duty is to prevent the disorder from using you as its next instrument. That is enough. A disciplined person is not detached from others. He is more responsible toward them because he knows where responsibility begins. It begins with intention before speech. It begins with attention before movement. It begins with the refusal to let a harmless delay become a license for discourtesy. The 6-foot bubble is not only about distance. It is about moral proportion. The person ahead of you is not an obstacle placed there to test your importance. They are a person completing a task in a shared public space. The cashier is not a machine failing your private schedule. The line is not a personal insult. The cart is not a battering ram for impatience. When you see those things accurately, conduct becomes cleaner. You do not need to like the delay. You do not need to decorate it with positive meaning. You do not need to pretend you are above irritation. The work is simpler and stricter. Do not give irritation command over what you can govern. This is adult responsibility. It does not demand that you control every condition. It demands that you stop blaming conditions for the part that is yours. Your part is the pause. Your part is the judgment you examine. Your part is the distance you keep. Your part is the next movement of the cart. Your part is the standard you refuse to abandon when the store is crowded, the afternoon is bright, the scanner keeps beeping, and your preference is not being served. The line may not remember you. The cashier may not notice you. The person ahead may never know you chose restraint instead of pressure. That does not make the act empty. It makes it cleaner. It was not done for reputation. It was done because conduct belongs to you even when no audience rewards it. And in that ordinary restraint, you recover something more important than a faster checkout. You recover the authority to act from reason. Freedom, in this line, is not getting out faster. Freedom is not the cashier speeding up, the person ahead moving aside, the scanner becoming silent, or the store arranging itself around your schedule. That kind of freedom depends on conditions, and conditions are never loyal. The freedom Epictetus points toward is stricter. It is the freedom of standing there with the grocery cart under your hand and not letting the delay write your character for you. It is hearing the beep without becoming its servant. It is feeling impatience rise and refusing to turn it into pressure against another person. The line may still be slow. Your afternoon may still be full. Your preference may still be denied. But your ascent can be clean. That is the whole battle in miniature. The event remains outside. The judgment is examined inside. The next action is chosen by reason, not borrowed from irritation. So you let the space remain. You keep the cart where it belongs. You do not make another person pay for the fact that the world is not moving at your speed. You practice public conduct as if small things count, because they do. A person who cannot govern a cart will struggle to govern a reply, a meeting, a conflict, a loss. But a person who trains here is not merely waiting in line. He is practicing freedom where no one is watching. The beep sounds again. You remain responsible. Return to what is yours to govern.